What's up, everybody? This is Lance, BH Capital Enterprises. I know it's been quite some time since I've done a video, but I had to step back a little bit and do some reevaluating, and try some new things. So this first video is just to give you guys a bit of what is to come. I'm happy to take any suggestions as far as, maybe companies that you want me to look at, or any other suggestions of what type of videos you'd like to see from me. Um, but first off, before we dive into exactly what I'm going to do here, please make sure you subscribe to my channel if you are new and have not, or if you have not done so already. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you'll get a no so that you'll be notified whenever I put out new content, which my aim is to do so multiple times a week. Please share it if you like it. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them. Any thoughts? I'm happy to converse with you guys on this stuff. But welcome to my first session of Market Markup. So basically, in this series, I will be just kind of choosing different tickers and marking the charts up and seeing what I can see. Um, now, I did not take a look at this chart um, before I started to do this video. So just keep that in mind. So this may take a little while. So bear with me. So typically the way that I look at charts, especially if it's one that I've never really looked at before, such as the one here before you, Costco, I start with what's called a top-down analysis. So I like to start with the highest time frame and work my way down, just to have some overall context of what's happening with the price action, what has happened with the price action, and then I'm able to better build some hypotheses on what may happen in the future. So let's get started. Obviously, this is a maximum time frame of Costco over a yearly increment. So this is a yearly chart. So each candlestick represents 1 year. For those of you that aren't familiar with reading candlesticks, so Costco is obviously in an advancing stage of the market cycle. And I did a video on this, on the four phases of the market cycle. So be sure to check that out whenever you get time. And I will say probably late stage of the advancing cycle. So it appears as though it might be entering phase three, which is some consolidation. So you see we had some consolidation down here for several years before we got, some strong advancing. Entered phase two around probably around 2010 and has been just pushing upward since then. So as you can see for this year, it's been mostly bearish. So down a bit from that all-time high of 388.07. As you can see, the all-time low is $18.12. So, you can do the math on, if I would have bought $1,000 of Costco back then, what would it be worth now? You can, do that if you want to. But yeah, so we got the late advancing stage of the market cycle. Looks like it's starting to enter some consolidation here on the yearly chart. But again, seeing as though this is the yearly chart, it's going to take some time for us to know for sure. And so now I'm going to move on to the monthly chart and see how the monthly chart looks. So on the monthly chart, um, we have some advancing. This is phase two here, advancing, and it's starting to pull back from that all-time high. So over the past 3.5 or 3 months and some change, Costco has been bearish. So pulling back off that high, looks like it might be forming, could be potentially forming like a head and shoulders pattern or something like that. But Not sure, but it can also be potentially be a bull flag, at which point Costco should, if that is the case, turn up and start to advance within the next few months or so. But one thing that I do like to do is to identify um, like key areas that I'd watch for if I were, considering a position in Costco, or maybe I'm already in Costco. So I'm looking for areas where I'd like to dollar cost average. This little area right here is would be an area of interest for me, and of course this is not any type of investment advice. This is purely for entertainment purposes. And if you want any specific recommendations for stocks, please talk to your financial advisor or a financial advisor, as I just do this for fun. But yeah, so and this range right here is about 304 to 280, 280 to 304. So this is one area that I would be watching for on this monthly chart. If it falls below this area, then the next area that I probably look for is below 250, and probably even below 240. Uh, Another thing that I like to do is to calculate the pullback versus correction versus bearish territory levels. So I'll just do that right now. All right, so 368.66 represents a 5 point or 5% pullback, which pullback is technically that 5% drop. Um, but pullbacks do have specifics on how long they last, but um, I'm not really focused on that part. I'm just focused on the fact that Costco is more than 5% down from its all-time high. So I'll just put a little note here on my chart so that I always know what this level represents, at least until it pushes new highs. So 5% pullback is what I'll put here. I'll show it on the right. I'm gonna double the size of that or the width of that, and boom. Okay, so 5% pullback there. And then I'll do a 10% correction. 388. And that gets us at 349. So obviously, Costco is beyond correction territory. 349 is up in here. We'll do that. We'll make this more specific. Okay. And we'll just call this correction, which is 10%. And we're going to do show on the right so we can see it a little better. Boom, there we go. All right. And finally, we'll do the 20%, which is bear territory. $310. So not quite in bear territory yet. It appears as though it has this month kind of flirted with that. Let's see, we're right around 310. Let's make that exact. show on the right. Boom. Okay, so bear market territory there. As you can see, like I said, it kind of flirted with it, but bounced off of it so far this month. It's still early in the month. Um, and as you can see, there is a little bit of confluence there with the level that, or the range that I specified that I'd be watching, um, before I even knew that represented bear market territory. So, the more that you look at charts, the better you're able to, find these confluences without even necessarily uh, looking for them. So you're just looking at different time frames, finding important pieces of information, and finding that they align on different time frames, using different pieces of information. So yeah, that's one of the things that I do when I'm looking at charts, and it allows me to start to kind of build a case as to what I think may or may not occur. Um, I like to use my trend line a lot, and one thing that I'm seeing, um, here is a area of interest, a trend line of interest here, where I see that the trend was kind of broken here at this point. So starting from February on into March is pretty much when this trend officially broke. So although we had 3 months of selling off coming into this month, based on this trend line here, the trend was not officially broken until this month. So uh, a lot of times, what may happen is the bulls will try to push that price back into and above this trend line to get back in line with the original sentiment. But that may or may not happen. So um, just a trend line to give me a little context of some sentiment going on. I have identified some key areas that I'll be that I would keep an eye on. Me personally, of course. Um, and so yeah, I move on to the next chart when I feel like I've gathered enough information on this particular time frame. Another thing to watch, another thing that I notice here is the clear reversal setup going into the end of the year. So November was a very, very strong month for Costco. And then December was bearish. So we got something like a evening star setup. Um, Going into the beginning of the year, the beginning of this year, 2021. So um, you look at these, you learn how to identify these patterns, and that can allow you to um, position yourself based on that information. So, looking at November, bullish month, and then seeing a strong, basically seeing a hanging man after a very strong uptrend, that should trigger in your mind automatically to look for confirmation, potential confirmation, because you don't want to be too biased, potential confirmation for the next candlestick in which that did happen. So this pretty much, this price action so far this year has confirmed a reversal in the trend. All right, so just wanted to explain that part a little bit more. Hopefully that was pretty clear. All right, so then I move down to the weekly chart. Weekly chart is showing an obvious markdown. So this is phase 4 of the market cycle. Again, the trend line that I drew on the monthly chart, you can see that it's been broken, and it followed this. It was in this trend for quite some time. So pretty much since the end of 2018 was when it entered this particular trend here, and that trend lasted for a little over 2 years. Uh, and then actually late 2020 was when Costco kind of entered that phase three, which is the distribution phase, or another fancy word for consolidation. And then it started to sell off. So it hung out around this 5% pullback, and then it finally broke. Hung out a little bit for a few weeks, right at that correction phase, and then boom, it started to sell off really hard into that where it's approaching bear market territory. So, learning how to identify those four market stages can really, really, really help you, whether you are advancing or not advancing, but investing long term, or if you're day trading. It doesn't matter. Either way, it can help you maintain context of the market sentiment and make some educated conclusions about what may be happening next with the price action based on where it is in that market cycle. So, um, personally, I'd be watching where it is right now with this bear market territory. So that 310 level again, seeing if uh, it'll continue to break that phase or break this level, this 310 level. We've already touched it. So it might try to flirt a little bit with that level before finally giving way, or it may not even close below or close in bear market territory at all. You got to think about where we are in the economic cycle or the business cycle, whatever you want to call it, and think about the type of company that Costco is. Costco is a consumer staple company. So when the business cycle is starting to slow down and slow down, heading into a recession and things of that nature, Costco is the type of company that tends to uh, perform decently historically. So right now, a lot of companies in the markets are kind of selling off. But I think for companies in certain sectors and industries, this would be a great buying opportunity. Of course, not investment advice or anything like that, but this would be a great buying opportunity for some of these companies. And then I think some of the other companies, this may not be the best buying opportunity because they may have not found their bottom yet. So keep that in mind. Always, always, always keep that context in mind when you are researching companies and thinking about investments, whether you're trading options, trading stocks, or whether you are investing in stocks for the long term. All right, so we got kind of like a rounded top type situation here on Costco. Um, Almost kind of like a inverted cup and handle type situation going on here, with the neckline being broken so far. So I would also be looking at this 324 level to the upside to see if it'll retest that, what it'll do at that point. I think that there's a good chance that this month the Bulls might try to push it back into that level, maybe or maybe not, depending on, catalyst, sentiment, all that good stuff. So, if this is indeed an inverted cup and handle, I'd say this one has the potential um, to fall probably maybe about 60 more points from where it is now, or from 324. So let me do some math on that. 323. So 261. So to actually put it'll put the price actually below this zone here that I've identified. Actually, toward the um, outer edges of that zone. So what I'd also do is put a price level there, just to represent, a potential hypothesis that I'd watch for um, in the coming weeks. So let's see. Just so just so I remember, anytime I pull up a Costco chart, I'm like, oh, what is this? What is this level? So I like to put little notes on my chart so that I know, you know, what that level represents. So, and this is just a estimate. So, um, yeah, this is just an estimate. So it's not, like a guarantee or anything like that. But, if this bear market uh, territory level is broken, then I'm going to be looking inside here and then maybe even down to that 260s range. But first things first is Costco has to break that 310 level and get into this zone first of all. Um, so yeah, there's I've got a hypothesis there about what may happen with the price, short term, um, and also long term. Long term, I talked about what my theory is on the yearly chart. It may be starting to consolidate. We identified, that the trend is currently broken, and it basically has entered a new trend. How long that trend will last, we don't know. We don't know. Just something to, pay attention to. Um, Now I'm going to go to the daily chart. Let's see what I see. Let's look at a 2 year. Okay, so the 2 year chart is, well, this is a daily chart, but it's over a period of 2 years. So it is pretty much saying the same thing that, we had some phase three going on here, uh, broke, broke the trend here, and we got clear phase four marked down here. Um, on Friday, it appears as though we got a big hammer here happening in the midst of a downtrend. So maybe Costco bounces here, and if that's the case, this just like I hinted at before, Costco is the type of company that Costco is the type of company that it's a consumer staple company. So you know, just keep that in mind. Might be a great buying opportunity for a company like Costco. Um, that reminds me to I want to look at XLP. XLP and do a markup on XLP for my chart masters folks in my Rolling Forest channel. If you've never checked out the Come Up Cousins, make sure you do. Um, that's where they talk about the rolling forest. So when I mention the rolling forest, that's what I'm referring to. But yeah, so looks like Costco is just kind of ripe, if you're asking me. If you ask me, and I'm actually going to draw another area here, and I'm going to just make this a different color so that I'll know, that this is a different time frame, like maybe my daily chart. Um, so daily zone, um, and yeah, so a little zone of interest that I'd also watch. Now there's no guarantee that Costco is going to just bounce out of this zone and push toward new highs, but it is of some significance to me that we got a reversal candlestick here right at support. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna probably keep an eye on Costco personally. I've never traded Costco. I don't have any stock in Costco or anything like that, but I just randomly decided to look at Costco tonight and see, how it's looking. 'Cause I've been doing some studying on, the business cycle and stuff like that. It's fascinating to me. So I read about the business cycle probably multiple times a week. And so I just decided, let me check out some consumer staple companies and see how they're doing, because I've noticed already that, healthcare stocks are starting to, even with this pullback, healthcare stocks are pushing toward their all-time highs. So um, these are things that it's important to pay attention to, because, right now everybody's caught up in tech, and tech has been selling off really, really hard. And everybody's eyes were on tech last year, as tech was leading the markets to new all-time highs, and now that tech is selling off, people are kind of losing their wits about it. But in studying market cycles and business cycles, it's important to be mindful of the fact that, okay, these industries are underperforming, so let me think about the industries that are performing well and learn how to position myself accordingly. So yeah, that's all I have as far as the daily chart is concerned. But even still, I would probably draw. Matter of fact, I might go back to the weekly chart just to check something out right quick. I want to mark a. Um, let's see how this turns out. So basically, I'm marking resistance um, on that weekly time frame. So actually, I'm gonna activate this drawing, and I'm gonna bring it in a little bit more. So basically, you know, hypothetically, if I was looking for an entry short term, I would really probably want the price to get above 320, and really above. I would want the price to break this trend line here to the upside before I consider an entry. Personally, of course, that's not any kind of investment advice. I'll say that over and over and over again. Um, but yeah, and that pretty much lines up pretty good with the weekly chart, or at least good enough for me. So all right, so uh, we got a bullish and a bearish thesis. Overall, um, sentiment is bearish on the time frames overall, but this daily chart is showing some potential for the price bottoming out. So just something to keep in mind um, for this one. And so let's check out the 4-hour chart just out of curiosity. And you can see on this 4-hour chart that the price, we got a nice bullish candlestick right at support, and it's headed up toward the top of this zone that I've drawn. So it'll be, quite a bit easier to see that break of this trend line to the upside. Uh, and I may even want to move this in just a little bit more. Okay, so I can see that a lot better. Let me check it on the daily chart. Okay, I'm good with that. All right. So of course, if it fails to beat this trend line, and it may or may not, then we know that it may retest this bear market territory level once again. So you see, it's 307 has been the low, so it was briefly in bear market territory on Friday. Is that Friday? 3.5. Yeah, Friday. And it pretty quickly came out of there and pretty strongly as well. So 10 point plus move from the low of day on Friday, and it's pushing back up toward trying to break this trend. So this is the current trend. This is current sentiment right here with Costco on the 4-hour chart. And we need to see the price break this trend line here, which is pretty much north of 320, in order to, maybe consider an entry to the top side. But, right now we're just kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Check out the 1-hour chart. You can see it a lot better how the price, we got a nice reversal candlestick there, just below support, right at the low. And the price pushed up pretty strongly for the majority of the day after that drop, that short sell-off early in the session. And so it's kind of, consolidating in that zone on the 1-hour chart. So again, north of 320 is where we need it to be um, in order to, consider that entry. So the yearly chart and the monthly chart won't have as much of an impact as far as a thesis is concerned at this time, because I would be considering something uh, shorter term, like maybe 3 to 6 months, probably, at least with this individual stock. Um, However, that well, actually, the monthly chart would have some impact, but more so the weekly and the daily, and of course the intraday charts are what I would probably place more emphasis on in terms of what my short-term thesis would be. But yeah, um, that's pretty much all I have. If you guys have any questions, any concerns, let me know. Let me know what you think of this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. Tell me why you don't like it. Tell me why you do like it. Um, I'm pretty sure I missed some things. Um, as I don't want to make these videos too long, but I also want to be as thorough and as clear as possible. Um, just some practice for me. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.